Hello everyone, it's Tuesday and welcome back to the set. It's been a little while since I made a video here. So back at the beginning of June, end of May, whenever I posted the school year reflection video, I said that I wanted to get back into a sort of, quote unquote, regular upload schedule outside of just the What's for Dinner episode at the end of each month. I had intended to do a video last Thursday, but extenuating circumstances prevented that from happening. So you're gonna get two videos this week. You're gonna get this one and the What's for Dinner on Thursday. This video, as you can tell from the title below, is kind of a sort of off-the-cuff story time with me and my fiance. Basically, it's just gonna be me and to somewhat extent her as well, sharing with you a little bit about our story. And some of you watching know part of our story. Some of you watching may have no idea what our story is. But I must say that I really love our story. I don't want to speak specifically for her, but I can say with some degree of certainty that she agrees that we really have a great story, and we want to share it with you today. So, without further ado, please welcome to the set, Erin!
Hello.
So thank you, first of all, dear, for being here and for making this. Erin's not one to be on camera too often, so I don't know how much you will see of her on here after the wedding. She does want to be in some What's for Dinners, so come the new season in 2024, you will more than likely see her in at least one, maybe more. So basically what we're going to do today is just share with you our story. And it starts, how far back?
High school?
2006?
Six, yes.
Yes. So,
summer of 2006.
Summer of 2006. So yeah, basically we met at band camp, marching band camp that is, summer of 2006, our freshman year of high school. She played the flute, I played the saxophone, and we did not really, I don't remember really talking to you at all during the initial band camp.
I knew who you were. I knew your names. You all went around the circle and introduced ourselves. And we were both in the same class too. Yeah.
So the freshmen kind of, I don't want to say bonded.
Like we introduced to each other and we all knew names, but yeah.
We all knew who each other was, but we didn't really formally get introduced. I think it was the second football game. She was talking to one of her friends, and it was during our break. We usually got a break in the third quarter where the band did not have to play during the third quarter of the football games. They had concession stands up at the top portion of the football stadium, and she was talking to one of her friends, and I think I just happened to walk by and we kind of got reintroduced and whatnot. That's the basic idea of how we met. So we knew each other all 4 years of high school, really good friends, and then when we graduated, I don't really know what it was, but I could not see myself not being or not continuing some sort of relationship, friendship, whatever it was with Erin. I think we met each other twice or three times.
I think it was
in the summer after we graduated. This is 2010.
Yeah.
That this is happening now. So we graduated in 2010. We met, I know we met at the end of June at one time.
For ice cream, yeah.
Yes. And then there was another time in July that we met. The second time, which was in July, that's when I had been thinking up until then, could I see myself dating her? Is that something that I think would work? So we kind of talked about that. She'll attest, I was so nervous, and she could totally tell that I was. And she was so very nice to not tell me that she knew, that she could tell I was nervous. And she was so gracious and so nice and sweet about it. And we kind of said, let's give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's give this a try.
In the pouring rain, in your car.
It wasn't raining yet.
Okay, well, it was almost raining.
It was going to rain. I got home from that and it started raining. So that started what we call our first attempt. And that went from July of 2010 until May of 2012. So just for some context, many of you know that I went to Messiah College in Harrisburg. Erin attended for 1 year, you could tell them
Juniata College in Huntington, Pennsylvania, and then I transferred to Muhlenberg College in Allentown.
And she was there, that's where you ended up graduating?
That's where I graduated from,
yeah.
Yes.
So we were not at the same college. Our entire first attempt was long distance. And I was very surprised how well we made it work.
Yeah, we were for how young we were, I think we did really well.
We did very well. I feel we did a great job at making a long distance relationship at 19, 20 years old
yes.
work very well. I went to visit her a couple times. Mm-hmm. She came to visit me a couple times. Usually the holidays, we would be back in Allentown to see our family, so I think we spent a couple Christmases together.
Christmases, Thanksgivings, New Year's,
So we got to see each other on a pretty relatively frequent basis, even though during much of the regular school year, when we were at college, we didn't see each other. So I guess the next question would be, what led to the first attempt ending? And in short, and to spare all the details, it was a combination of many things. One of the main ones, and I think, Erin, you will agree, our lack of communication with each other was just not really great. I was not very good at communicating things to Erin, and as she says, she wasn't very good communicating to me things that she needed or anything of that nature. We felt that the best thing to do was to amicably end our time together. Now, was that the right thing to do? I have been questioning that since this whole thing started almost 2 years ago. I got to admit, and I think you'll admit too, it was hard for the first month or so, first couple of months. It was very difficult to transition out of. You know, we were both each other's longest relationship at the time, and it was hard to see ourselves not together because
we had known each other for like 6 years at that point and spent a lot of time together. So.
Yeah, and it was so challenging to just all of a sudden have this person who was so prevalent in your life now not there.
Yeah, it was like the loss of like a partner, but also the loss of a friend, and that's tough to navigate, especially when you're 19, 20 in college.
Right.
All that.
Yeah. So that pretty much started what did I call this? The in-between time, maybe?
The hiatus.
The hiatus, whatever you want to call it. And that went on 9.5 years. 9.5 years we were on our own. As all of you know, I started documenting different aspects of my life on the video blog starting in 2015 when I was living in the Harrisburg area, documenting my move out here to Ohio later on in 2015, and then all the other things that have happened to me specifically since then. The car accident, the individual who I grew very close to, who left me in a very shocking way, Baba's unfortunate passing, and all these other things that you've all seen on this channel happened in that time frame while Erin was going through her own stuff as well.
I graduated college, I started a job in optometry, and eventually went back to nursing school, moved out of Allentown, so a lot of different things happened for me in that time period as well.
Now, one thing I want to go back and mention again that I said a moment ago that kind of sort of fueled this, what I call second and final attempt, was Baba's passing. I made a video called Hospitality, in which I reflected on Baba's passing and shared that with you all, I want to say about 3 weeks after she had passed. Well, I want to say it was maybe a month to a month and a half after that video went up, I received a text message from Erin. Not because of that video, but because she had seen Baba's obituary in the paper back in the Allentown area and wanted to reach out and offer condolences. And I think you also said if you were ever in the area that you could...
Something like that. I don't know what I said.
You said that we could meet up or something like that.
Yeah.
So, and she did say that she was sorry and offered condolences for Baba's passing. And this was in the summer of 2021. Many of you know that that was when I took my month-long trip, 12 states, covered North Carolina, all the way down to North Carolina, up through Virginia, and visited several individuals, friends from Twitter, my own family. And it was on that trip that Erin and I met up for the first time in almost 10 years.
One may ask, why would one do this? Why would you reach out in that way? Well, the reason is very simple. I knew Baba because we spent so much time
that is true.
With her. Like, we used to go to her house and visit and sit around her dining room table and talk, and she'd give me pierogies to take back to college because she was awesome. And so I knew her and I remembered her, and when I saw her name, I was like, oh man, like, that's a rough thing to go through. Like, the loss of my own grandparents, I remember being very difficult. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, sometimes all you want is for somebody to say something nice about somebody you loved, and so that's what I want to do.
We definitely credit my grandmother, Baba, for us reconnecting and for this even happening right now. So moving forward, we ended up meeting up at this retreat center near where my parents live. It was July of 2021. And we met up around lunchtime, and we were there until like an hour before sunset.
It was like 8 hours.
It was almost 8 hours, almost a full work day.
It was a long time.
And when I first, well, I think I could speak for both of us, neither of us wanted to leave. I don't know if I didn't want to acknowledge it. She might have wanted to, but I didn't want to acknowledge that there might be something here. And I let myself sit with it for a few days. And then I left Allentown. I went on to my next stop. And we had a phone conversation maybe 2 days later. And I said, I need to think this through more. I don't know if I can be more than friends right now. And I could tell that kind of was like hard for you. It was a very strange feeling for both of us because I don't think we really knew what we wanted at that point.
We both want to be friends.
It was a very strange feeling. So more time went on. I got back to Toledo. I went and visited some friends in Chicago. And then I came back. This was right before the school year started. And that's when I finally contracted the spicy flu and was laid up here for about a week or so while I recovered from that. And I think it was during that time that I reached out to you because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't really leave my apartment for 5 days or so. And I think it was around that point that we started talking a bit more.
Yeah, because before that we would text on and off, like how's your trip, all of this. But yeah, I think that was really the time we started having more in-depth conversations about things.
So then the school year started, and then I believe it was Labor Day weekend. We were having a chat on the phone, and I said, I think I'm ready to really try this again. And that's what started what I'm calling our second and final attempt. And then I think most of you know, well maybe some of you know, we were engaged August 13th of last year. The ring is actually one of, I don't know if it's at her actual ring, but it belonged to Baba. If it was not her engagement ring, it was a ring that belonged to her. And when I was given it by my mother, I knew that this would be the ring that I would give to Erin because kind of brings this whole thing full circle because we fully believe that if it weren't for Baba, we would not be together. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. The only other thing I might want to bring up is some of you may be thinking or may be wondering if we had attempted any communication in that 9.5, 10-year span between May of 2012 and July of 2021. And the answer is there was one attempt. In 2016, I wrote her a letter around Easter just saying, hope things are going well in your life, not sure where you are, but I know that you had this planned and this planned, and if that happened, great. If not, I hope you're doing well and that you're happy. And I didn't hear from her again until Christmas, I believe. Christmas of 2016, she sent me a Christmas card acknowledging the letter that I sent her back around Easter, and that was really the only communication that we had in those 9.5, 10 years. So in a nutshell, that's basically our story. When we tell people this, they are so moved, many of them are very moved and just love the, how do I say, like the romantic comedy aspect of our particular situation. We've known each other, it's 18 years, 17 years coming up now.
Love each other, yeah.
Yeah, 17 years coming up in August. And it's interesting to think about how far we've come. One of the last things I'll say is when we decided to give this a second try and to start the second and final attempt, one of the things that I said to her was how much peace that I felt knowing that she was back and knowing that, pretty much saying to myself, if we do this a second time, there's no way that we're not getting married. Because, I mean, we're not old, but we're both later in our young adult life. It's time to really start, I think at least, it's time to really start thinking seriously about how we want to live the remainder of our younger lives. You know, we're both in our 30s now. I feel like it's time to really start taking things like that seriously. Like if we want to have a family, if we want to have a house, if we want to have, you know, these things, it's really time to start thinking about those things. So in a nutshell, that's basically our story. Our wedding is in October 28th, which is actually the day before what would have been Baba's anniversary with my grandfather.
Also, we just like the fall.
We do like the fall. I did not want a summer wedding because it is currently storming outside right now, and the idea of a potential summer wedding when this could happen or it's just blasted hot is just not something that I find, and I don't think you find very...
I'll take the colors in the fall.
Yeah, very pleasing. So, and my parents, their anniversary is in the spring, so we kind of wanted our own season. So, end of October seemed very nice, and it's one of the only weekends that the priest that we want to be our main presider was available. So that's all from here. Again, I don't know how much of Erin you're going to see. She wants to be involved in some way. She's just not somebody who does camera stuff very often. But I think the more that we do these together, the easier it's going to become. I remember when I started this, it was very weird talking to a camera. And even though I don't do it as much as I used to, it definitely has become more normal to me in the last 8 or so years since I've been doing this. So, anything else you want to add, dear?
I don't think so.
No?
I think that's about it.
Anything else?
You got it covered.
I got it covered?
Mm-hmm.
Did I cover all the main things?
I believe so.
I did?
Yes.
Okay, very
Awesome.
good. So with that, we're going to sign off. You'll get a What's for Dinner on Thursday, and then, I don't know, maybe something else coming up in July. I'll have to figure it out. So, well, anyway, take care, everybody. God bless, and I'll see you all later.